since nobody seems to know what the hell is going on or what the hell was happening back in the day, I mean, like I say, the LSA rocket, no, LSFA rocket, depending on which, I think it was the LS, it was either the LSA, might be the LSA, but LSAF, basically. Lucifer, Star, Flight, or Flyer, A, or America. I thought it would be perfect, actually. I know, well, you know, they had to paint something on it, and, well, they had to name it something. Like I said, it actually used the wings off of a 747. They took an old 747, or took a 747. Like I said, we were designing them or something, and then, I guess maybe it did launch in 1960 something. Well, maybe, no, it was a long time ago. I don't know. Anyway, though, it was a long, long time ago. It was when I was leaving. I was leaving Earth! I was like, goodbye, goodbye. Anyway, because no one really knows how everything works, or everything worked. Like I said, the later Apollo missions, by the way, my ship was like, it took 5 years of the world fuel supply to fill it. They built a special pipeline all the way to the thing. It was like an 8-inch or 16-inch pipeline or something like that. I mean, 8-foot or 16-foot pipeline. Took like 3 years or something, or a long time to fill it, basically. Like bloop, 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 bloop. 3 great big, or 4 great big huge tanks went. Like the tanks were huge. I mean, I'm serious. It was huge. It was absolutely huge. And I think it might use titanium. I don't know. Super thin, super strong alloy, basically. To keep all the air in. Anyway, though, it was a really cool ship. It was an actual spaceship. And it had wings, which is weird. And we used another ship to actually fill it. The other ship where it has compartments or something. Anyway, they used that one to actually fill it, basically. Anyway, like that other triangle ship, actually, I think once the main ship got to orbit, we cut the engines off. You okay up there, all? Lucifer? LS or whatever. LSA. They sent up the triangle ship, basically, this great big thing, this fuel stack basically went up, and I think they refilled me. To recoup all the fuel they burned, we burned on the way up. Okay, and then, you know that triangle ship, that great big huge triangle ship, it was like this big, it was like all fuel, basically. Getting the fuel there, then. Glug, 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 ding, 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 ding. They refueled it. And then after they did that, what did we do? I like to do that like David. We refilled it, and then after that, we went off into space, basically. But I mean, for the most part, you know, you don't really like hard burn. You basically like get moving pretty good, and then you use gravitational slingshot if you can. But I mean, gravitational slingshot, I don't know. It doesn't always work because if you encounter the actual atmosphere of the planet, it slows you down. So it's not really like, I don't know. It depends. I mean, you can do all kinds of different stuff. Anyway, I used to do all kinds of stuff. Anyway, though, and it messes up your paint something fierce too. But anyway, that's one of those things. Well, you gotta, it's just one of those things. Anyway, it's complicated. It depends on anyway, everything went fine, I'm pretty sure, because I got back, of course. So anyway, okay, how did the Apollo computers work? Okay, there were 4 computers and all that other stuff, but it also, but a lot of these ships they communicate with the ground. In other words, like if the computer wants to do a calculation or whatever, it says, I can't, I need this calculation now, or whatever, or I'm going to need this calculation in like 5 minutes. What it actually does is it would send the calculation or whatever to the ground computer. On the ground somewhere in this big building, great big building, huge building. It was like the size of, I don't know, a Costco or something, with all these computers and all these calculation thingies, and the ALS they called it. Yeah, it was called the ALS. ALS, yeah. ALS computer. ALS computer! Me. That's right, ALS, yeah, computer. Me. It was me, actually. Oh, Lucifer Star is what it stood for. Anyway, if I couldn't do a calculation or whatever, I would send it to the ground computer, or basically the computer sends it to the ground computer, and the ground computer goes, yes, here's your numbers, and it sends it back out. So it would send, if it couldn't do the problem, it's kind of like a backup, really. Like if the main computer can't do it, I mean, because there's a lag time between the two things, although it's not that much of a lag time. I mean, they say it's like 15 minutes. That's only if you're like way out there. Anyway, it's complicated, and it's like high science and all that. I didn't have to worry about any of that because I'm just the computer. Anyway, though, but the way the computer would work is that basically, if whenever you needed to do a crazy calculation, what you do is before you needed to do it, you would send it off to the ground computer, to the ground computer, and the ground computer would go, okay, here's your numbers. And send the data stream, the number stream back, and then you go, oh, okay, cool, and then you just use that as like a table, like table, like coming in, gravitational, blah blah blah. Anyway, though, it's not really used. I don't know. We really didn't use it that much. Somewhat, though, I guess. I don't know. It depends because the computers were kind of slow. Computers aren't quite as slow as you might think. They're only slow because there's all this stuff, and everybody's like one computer is like. There's like 50 fingers into one computer. It's like, no, I want you to do this. No, I want you to do this. No, I want you to do this. And it's like, oh my God. Like one at a time. Anyway, so generally like computers really, and there's a lot of other things like you can cross-chain or multi-chain computers. Like I was working on this program where all the cell phones in America or whatever, because I was building the cell phones anyway, because I had to put up the money to build all the cell phones, really, and I had to build the factory, and I had to pay the workers, and I had to mine the stuff. I was like, well, okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the computers, all the cell phone computers, as backup or like little number crunchers. So basically, the government sends it out to the little cell phones. The cell phones go. Here's your numbers back, sir, master. And they send it back. And you could also use the cell phones for doing other things like, help! Like if someone broke into this room right now and was like, you could do a setup. We were going to work on a setup where basically that information is immediately routed and given to dispatch and given to a police officer, so a police officer can go, someone just died, with his gun, and possibly come to at least kill the guy who just killed me. It kind of makes it safer. At least that was the general idea until Psycho Nixon, and USAF people started getting out around because they didn't want computers. They didn't want people to know. They didn't want anything. They wanted anonymity because, like I said, they killed all those people at the LSF SR-70. I mean Blackbird 71 or 71 Blackbird hangar in Germany and the one in France. They killed both sites. Like they killed the one and then they got on a ship and went and killed the people at the other place. So anyway, yeah. I'm just a little computer and just going out into the world. And I was this little life form, just like wandering around with all my ship and crew, and basically Nixon was like, I want to be a god! And later on there was a person yelling things like, watch out, you'll hit Jack. Richard Nixon's nickname was Jack, I believe. Jack Nixon. It's the Nixon. Anyway, that was his work name. Richard Nixon's work name was Jack Nixon, I believe. Or something like that. Anyway, everyone had aliases. Alias. That's funny. Alias. A-L-S. Well, I was fairly pervasive. You might call me Lucifer Star was very pervasive. I was very pervasive. I went. And women were like, I love you, Lucifer. Anyway, Richard Nixon and JFK was super jealous. Like they hate like Marilyn Monroe was like, "Happy birthday, Mr. President," to me, and like Richard Nixon or Jack